that Zeveron have already grabbed all the supports they need. They probably don't need to deny any support. So I'm guessing that we're going to see more of their damage fleshed out, a specialist if they're going to use it. They are going to grab Tassadar, who I wouldn't think that Zeveron would go to pick, but I guess that means the plays don't want to show their hand yet. Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm interested to see. I mean, they have dealt with that Equinox Kerrigan, so I wouldn't be surprised to see a respect ban necessarily, because that would continue to limit the damage dealers they could use. Jaina and Kael'thas already out of the mix. They are going to ban Zagara, so that's a good point too. We have seen how useful Zagara can be with that creep spread and how instrumental she was to Zeveron even as a damage dealer in the last game. So I guess the plays think it's more important to deny even more vision to Zeveron as well as Zagara as a damage dealer.
Sorry guys, apparently we had some issues with sound, but it's fixed now. I was muted and also the VOD wasn't recording right from the beginning. So all around, terrible job in production from me. Just to reiterate, this is the second game in the best of 3. We do have Zeveron up 1-0, and thanks everyone for letting us know. Looks like it's not going to be Kerrigan, though, that Zeveron want to go after. They're choosing to pick up the Butcher here, and that makes a lot of sense because the Butcher and Tyrande are a crazy, scary composition together. And then on top of that, they have stuns from Uther. They're going to have the Divine Shield possibility as well to help if the Butcher, like we mentioned before, gets a little too far forward in some of the engagements. He can help him get right back out. We're going to have one more choice here. Maybe their Warrior, or it could be another damage dealer, knowing, I'm guessing it'll be damage dealers, knowing that the PLEYZ have already picked up their Warrior.
Yeah, that's a good guess, and you are absolutely correct. It's going to be Falstad, who is awesome on this map because of his global mobility. He can get places very quickly, and on this map, you will have tributes spawning here and there and everywhere in between, and so having someone that can stay in lane to soak experience until the very last second and then come up and grab it, or run away from where everybody else is and go grab a tribute when everyone else is busy, can be very valuable. So I love that Falstad pick.
I do as well, and with the number of stuns that they're going to have too, and the fact that a lot of these battles take place in a line or a really clumped up location because of the terrain of this battleground, Hinterland Blast, I think it's the best on this battleground out of all of them. So I'm really excited to see them have some really good Hinterland Blast. Falstad really comes down to being able to use the terrain for your advantage, whether it's with barrel roll or having a Hinterland Blast like that. So we'll see what they can do with it. But it won't be a crispy taco, as the PLEYZ are going to steal the Tyrael. And now look at their composition. They've got double warrior, double support, with just Jaina really as the primary damage dealer. They will have damage out from Tyrael, who does deal quite a bit for a warrior, as well as Tassadar, who can go into the Archon form and throw out a lot of those Psionic Storms. But it will be up to Jaina to really burst heroes down, especially if they choose to have that judgment from Tyrael.
Yeah, they're really going to have to do a good job of focusing. They're going to have to talk to each other about who they're going to take down together because, like you said, they only have Jaina as that one really heavy lifting burst damage dealer. And so they're going to be able to survive quite a long time if they manage to keep Jaina protected in the back line. But it's going to maybe take them a little bit longer to burn somebody down, so they're going to have to do it all together. The Arthas pick is going to finish it out for Zeveron, though. They're going to grab him as their warrior, and I can't say I'm disappointed about that, but what do you think they're going to try to use him to do in terms of synergy, Gilly?
Well, they have so much lockdown potential between the Butchers, Ruthless Onslaught. They've also got the Howling Blast from Arthas, and then stuns from both Tyrael and Uther. They've also even got a slow from Falstad when he hits his hammering. And then from there, Arthas is going to be able to get into the fray, especially because we'll have fights around something, around that tribute. He can get right into the front, drop that Frozen Tempest, and then be dealing damage and slowing anybody who's up in there. And because the plays have a lot of melee, they're going to be up in there. They're going to have Muradin, Rhaegar, and Tyrael up there unless Rhaegar is kind of staying back out of the fight, not doing damage, just focusing on heals. So that's going to be great for them. And then the Butcher might be able to just run straight past them into the back line, grab that Jaina. They can throw the Hinterland Blast on top of that as well, and then instantly take her out of the fight.
It's interesting to note that this map is a little different than Tomb of the Spider Queen. Tomb of the Spider Queen is kind of a cost and reward type of map. You pay your gems, you get this reward. Cursed Hollow is more of a crisis management type of map. You have to be able to run across the battleground at a moment's notice and deal with something that you couldn't possibly have predicted the location of. And I'm wondering which of these teams will be more able to do that. The obvious benefit of having Falstad is that you can get across the map very quickly. But I'm also looking at the plays and wondering if the amount of sustain they have will help them really lock down positions on this map and manage those little crises better.
Yeah, I mean, being able to really sustain through those long tribute fights is definitely going to be in their favor, but they'll have to be really making sure that they do that, and it'll be up to Zeveron to kind of try. They've got some sustain, but they'll also be looking to try to burst someone out of those fights. But looking at these teams, we do have the PLEYZ spawning this time in blue. Daihu will be on Tyrael. Looks like Lex Uther will be playing Rhaegar. Zeus is going to be on Muradin, who gets instantly dismounted from that owl. That's mean. Evan Drinde will be on the Jaina, and playing Tassadar will be Pirate Rum.
And on Zeveron, who will be wearing red, it's going to be Faye on Tyrande, Equinox on the Butcher, Fury on Arthas, Mad Timmy playing Uther, and Calthanluck on Falstad.
All right, well, that cheeky owl withstanding so far. We're just seeing a party lane up in mid for Zeveron. Calthanluck's going to fly up, so he's going to be able to do this all game, flying between the lanes, flying to different advantages where he needs to be, maybe picking up a quick tribute, like you said, or if he was taken down, being able to get back into the fight very quickly. That's going to be in their favor. And look what Equinox and Faye are doing. They see Daihu, and Daihu's going to actually throw out his Eldruin just in case he needs to be able to get back. But will they be able to get the takedown on him? Eldruin is down.
I mean, it depends on how much Daihu is suspicious, and it looks like he's very suspicious. He goes and checks that bush, but it is not going to be... Ooh, it is going to be enough as that Sentinel actually misses the last blow that they were hoping to deal, and Daihu will be able to back. But that means this top lane is unprotected, and Calthanluck and Equinox are going to have a heyday if they so choose.
Yeah, Lex Uther was trying to rotate up, but having trouble getting up there. So a great job from Zeveron and being able to start throwing even some damage down on those structures. Early structures that you can take down are nice if you can get down those towers and gates, because it does mean if you can curse your opponent, then you can move right into taking out the forts, or you've got minions that are going to push themselves right onto the fort.
I think we've seen a signature so far today of early lane push from Zeveron, and we're seeing that they're able to do that, even Fury holding a lane by his own. He's now going to come up for this engagement, though, and in the meantime, looks like the Butcher and Jaina are going to fall. That means there's going to be no damage really coming out of the PLEYZ until she respawns.
Yeah, they're going to try to get out of this situation, as Zeveron did have more committed to this fight. In the bottom, Tassadar and Uther just trading blows. And Tassadar a little bit better of a laner there, but Mad Timmy's holding his own. Each team has picked up their level 4 talents. Let's see what they're going to grab. We have Mental Acuity for Tassadar, so once again prioritizing that vision. Searing Arrows actually for Tyrande, so she is looking to do more damage versus being quite so sustainable with the Protective Shield. They will have one on Uther, but they're not going to have the second one from Tyrande.
So I guess they're feeling like they're not going to need as much protection as they are going to need damage, and I suppose they're trying to capitalize on the amount of heroes they have that can deal a lot of damage as opposed to their enemy.
Well, it makes a lot of sense. They've actually chosen to go with the health regen build for the Butcher with that Victuals. So he's already got some self-sustain. Arthas does as well. And then Falstad is going for the Seasoned Marksman. So he will be going for more auto attack, which will really build off of that Ranger's Mark and kind of auto attack from Toronto 2. So it makes a lot of sense that she'd also get the Searing Arrows so that she and Falstad can kind of both synergize with those auto attacks.
Falstad also does have Flow Rider, so his cooldown of barrel roll is going to be lowered by 40%. So that means he's going to have not only that mobility, but also engage or disengage ability there.
Yeah, that's going to be really nice. Sometimes Falstad really does not have a lot of escape potential. It's really just down to that barrel roll, so having that up more often is going to be nice, especially with a lot of the stuns that we do have from the PLEYZ and the slows from Jaina as well.
Do you see that it looks like Zeveron has their sights set on the boss down here? They seem to be a fan of taking early, hefty objectives. Faye's going to send that Sentinel out looking to see if she can find out where the PLEYZ are, but that's also going to kind of reveal their position. Doesn't look like the PLEYZ are going to capitalize on that.
No, Tassadar just now sees it, but it's going to be too late. There is the early boss, so both teams have one tribute, and both teams have picked up their level 7 talents, but we will have Zeveron getting that very early boss, and they're going to capitalize on it. They've got 4 people here to push, and they're realizing, yes, they are not going to be soaking in either the top or the mid. It looks like Falstad will go up to try to mitigate at least top. So they have to get some good structure damage done here in order to counter the fact that they aren't soaking there. Oh, actually, ours is going up, so it's fine. Never mind.
At the same time, though, you're right. They really do have to make something happen here because they did commit so many resources to it, and it looks like they will. That fort is going to go down. The boss is going to continue hitting that little well there, but the rest of Zeveron is going to go turn their attention to other things. They're going to try to deal with this mid lane as Arthas does fall to Evandrinde, Daihu, and Zeus.
Yeah, Equinox is going to come in here and just try to catch back up with that lane soak. They are still ahead, so that is very nice. The boss is still pushing a little bit, so that was a huge play they were able to make so early. And if they do end up picking up that first curse, that will be so nice for them as they will be able to maybe even set their sights on a very early keep, just like we saw them do in the last game.
We do see that both teams have their sights set on this tribute. Falstad is the farthest away, but as we know, he can come in fairly quickly. But both teams hoping to grab a pick before they go down and commit to it. We do see the stun go down on Arthas. He's going to get out of the way, though. We will see, it looks like the PLEYZ deciding they don't want to hard commit to this engage. And as a result, Equinox and Faye are going to turn their attention down toward this tribute, and they're going to grab it. It won't be a curse yet, even if they do.
Fury got so low there, but did not get taken out, was able to get away from the stuns. That was just a fantastic cleanse there by Mad Timmy, being able to help him get away. And now he's all healed back up. They're trying really hard to be able to stop, zone out the members of the PLEYZ from being able to stop this channel. It looks like they will be able to do so. They finally got set up correctly to do that. And now they do have 2 tributes. So the next one could equal a curse for them. I do believe both teams, though, are going to be level 10. So we won't have an issue where the PLEYZ won't have their heroic abilities against their opponents. But they don't have them for a bit. And this does mean that Zeveron might be able to capitalize on this boss here. Lex Uther sees it. Looks like they are going to disengage. So great job from the PLEYZ in stopping that little play from happening.
I wanted to point out, you mentioned how Hinterland Blast on this map can be great, and around that tribute, if we had seen level 10, Falstad could have come in and lined up everyone in that small little corridor right outside the tribute, where the tribute was spawning in that U, and really done some damage. So I would wager that we may see that happening even here, right by these mercenaries, if Falstad does come join in. See how everyone is bunched up in a line.
Well, the Divine Shield went down on the Butcher, and now Fury is very far forward trying to deal some damage there, but won't be able to do enough as the sustain from the PLEYZ is just unreal, and a Starfall even helped slow him down, make sure they were able to pick him off. So now the PLEYZ are mostly going to be able to pick this up uncontested unless Zeveron want to fight in a 4v5 situation. They might be able to just throw out enough skills to try to stop it for as long as possible, and hope that Arthas can be back up and in the fight. They are able to stop it once, but Daihu was already channeling behind, so great setup there from the PLEYZ, having 2 different people channeling, standing in the way to maybe stop those sentinels, and being able to tie up the tribute count.
Zeus actually moved into the way of the Sentinel, I'm pretty sure. So really knowing that
Nice.
Faye has great aim with those Sentinels. She's done it over and over and over. So having someone there looking for it to spawn and immediately getting in the way does mean that they are going to pick that up. That means that the next tribute is going to be a curse for either team. So it is going to be hotly contested.
It definitely will be hot. Let's take a look at these heroic abilities that we did pick up. We've got the Starfall, as well as the Furnace Blast, Syndragosa, and the Divine Shield and Hinterland Blast for Zeveron. Meanwhile, the players have picked up the Ancestral Healing, Sanctification, and Archon Avatar, and the Water Elemental. So Sanctification once again being used to try to stop that damage that the Butcher will be putting out. Let's see how they're going to use it, as we're going to have a team engagement here. Equinox a little bit out of position here on that Butcher. He's away in the way on the other side of those rocks, but the Syndragosa is going to come in. Divine Shield goes on the Butcher, and he's moving in with that Furnace Blast, going to throw down some damage, but not enough to take out Daihu, and now he's going to move back. His combo's kind of over, and he's taking a lot of damage from Zeus, who does have that Lightning Shield on. The sustainability from the PLEYZ is unreal here. Arthas is down, so is the Butcher, and everyone from the PLEYZ still remains here. We're going to have a curse for them.
Man, I was going to say earlier during the draft that one of my favorite ideas here is Divine Shield on the Butcher, pop the Furnace Blast, then the Ruthless Onslaught, and then just go in and melt face. But, as we all know, the Butcher is better in groups, and the Butcher does not do well when left all alone after doing something like that. And he was, like you said, just not favorably in position there, and that meant that things went well for the PLEYZ, but they haven't been able to quite grab this tribute yet.
Yeah, I don't think that a warrior was the favorable person to try to drop that Ruthless Onslaught and the Furnace Blast on. Now Lex Luthor is caught a bit out of position, is going to have to drop Ancestral Healing on himself, and he's trying like mad to get away from Equinox and Fury, who finally caught him in a trap here and will be able to take him out. But the red team is cursed, and the blue team do have the boss pushing. They were able to pick that up despite that entire fight. So we're going to see Zeveron having to deal with a curse, then the boss on top of it. This means that the PLEYZ can feel free to either push or try to take some other objectives. And look what is down in the bottom. Another boss free for the taking.
Indeed it is, and this is just what the doctor ordered, Gilly. We talked about how the PLEYZ really need to make sure that they're on top of the battleground objectives, and that's what they're showing us so far in this game. Although we see experience and structure counts that are fairly similar, we really do see the momentum in terms of the battleground objectives swinging the way of the PLEYZ.
Yeah, and when you're able to do something like this, when you're able to pick up both of the bosses in a row, you can really start swinging it even further in your favor. As Zeveron still are cursed for a little bit longer, they're still having to take care of their lanes. We see Falstad up on top trying like mad to save this wall in front of the keep, but the keep has even been opened up for future pushes, future boss pickups maybe even from the PLEYZ, and now they're rotating to the bottom. They do have time to take out this boss, as there is a long period after a curse before next tribute spawns. And Zeveron are still at 2 tributes, so if they can mitigate this damage, push back their lanes a little bit, and keep up in terms of experience, they should still be in an okay position in this game.
We do see that the boss will fall after taking down 2 towers and wall, but not quite getting to the fort, so not quite getting that huge boost of experience. We do have level 14 for the PLEYZ. It's going to be very, very soon for Zeveron that they're going to grab that as well. The PLEYZ know that they're about equal in experience, so it looked like they weren't looking to engage. Zeus is going to Dwarf Toss out, but turn quickly around, and they are going to look for it. The Starfall will go down. We see Fury getting very low. The Divine Shield going down on the Butcher, but he doesn't get much done with that Furnace Blast, and now he's right in the middle of things and will easily be bursted down. The Hinterland Blast goes off, but people weren't quite in a line. Just Zeus gets low enough to fall, but closely followed by Fury. Those blizzards do lots of damage, and Faye is now on the run, but the entirety of the PLEYZ are on her, and Mad, Timmy, and Calthan Luck are the only members of Zeveron to survive.
Man, the Ancestral Heal on Jaina was so clutch. Zeveron knew that Jaina was the target, and they really went for her with that Furnace Blast, but shields went down on her from Tassadar, and then on top of that, they were able to get her healed right back up with the Ancestral Heal, and that was really the turning point of that fight. After that, Zeveron really didn't have much more to go with and started dropping. So a fantastic job from the PLEYZ. They didn't even need Sanctification there. They didn't even use it. They had their sustainability has just been unreal this game.
Yeah, that crisis management, like we said, apparently when you pack on the tankiness you're able to withstand all sorts of disasters, and they're creating their own disasters now. Looks like the players are going to set their sights on this tribute. Don't see full engagement from Zeveron. It looks like they, even though they would be able to get a curse with this tribute, they're not willing to commit all their resources to it because they know they're not going to suffer for letting the PLEYZ take that tribute right now, at least not immediately.
Yeah, the PLEYZ won't pick up a curse with that. They actually could even let another one go, and the PLEYZ wouldn't. And Zeveron need to get 16. They're down a talent here, and looking at it, we've got a lot more control between the Numbing Blast. We've also got Stone Form for Muradin, and then of course the Dimensional Warp. Although Tassadar didn't take Prescience, so he's only got that one-dimensional shift to really make it count. But that Shrink Ray is going to be very nice to mitigate the damage dealers, especially, I'm sure, that's going to go right on that Butcher. But now Zeveron are getting close to 16. They should be able to contest the next one. And look, there's a really good minion wave on top, and Zeveron are pinging it. They realize this. They're making a little bit of a rotation here with Cawthon Luck. He can always fly into the next tribute. He's going to get some work done here, pick up the tower, and secure those level 16 talents.
We saw also some grouping in the middle lane as we maybe anticipated that tribute spawning. It looked like maybe we saw a feint from Zeveron that they were going to go directly for the tribute, but instead it looks like they're going to try to do some structural damage here in the bottom.
Oh, and Numbing Blast went down, and Falstad could not get away from the Water Elemental and the rest of Evan's combo. So now the PLEYZ have picked up a second tribute and tied up the tributes once again. But Zeveron are moving in toward this keep. They've dropped the Syndragosa. They are going to be able to take it out, but how many lives will they lose for it? Equinox is going to be Divine Shielded, but already it will be done soon. Fury is down. Equinox, the Divine Shield is up, and although he is healed, he does not have very much escape. They're going to be able to take him out as well. I don't know if those lives were worth the keep now. It's going to be a tough exchange. At least there's this nice push for Zeveron in mid.
It was so clever, Gilly, because we saw Zeveron line up in the bushes here, and then Syndragosa went down, and it took a tower and a fort out of commission in terms of doing any damage to them. They had all 4 members, but we saw this brief pause when Falstad all of a sudden was down, because I think they were counting on Falstad to come join the fight when inevitably the PLEYZ came and contested, but they committed anyway, and I think, like you said, that was their downfall.
Oh, Falstad a little too far forward, will be able to barrel roll out thanks to a great cleanse from Mad Timmy, but now because they did lose those lives, the PLEYZ have moved up to this boss. And this boss, we've mentioned before, can head right to the keep on top from Zeveron. And now Zeveron, I don't think we're going to see them try to get in. They are trying, but will they pay for it? It looks like they will. Uther is going to go down. Fury is very low, trying to kite them into his Frozen Tempest, but he'll drop as well. And now Falstad is going to try to fly desperately. They cannot deal with the curse and the boss pushing in. It will be entirely too much to deal with, so they're going to be able to get the curse. But what will they be able to do with it? Are they going to base trade? I think they are.
Wow. All right, Gilly.
Oh.
What do we think? I mean, we see that the PLEYZ are already all there. They're already hitting the core. It looks like we're just now getting Zeveron on that core. They do have the Butcher and Faye and Cawthon Luck there to do damage to the core, but it is not going down very fast, and there's a boss there ready to help.
It's not doing it. It's not attacking the core, though. It's just now going to the core, but that will be it. Oh.
With only 14% left on the PLEYZ core. A daring move from Zeveron. They just needed to get there a smidge faster, and they actually could have won the game there. But not quite. It looks like that game 2 will go to the PLEYZ. That means it's going to be 1-1. We get a third game, Gilly.
Woohoo! That troll boss there might have been the end of the PLEYZ, but thankfully, they were still able to take down the core just a bit faster, and that really showing that it doesn't matter if they only had a 1 damage dealer. They still were able to put out the damage they needed in those fights and in pushing as well. A great job by the PLEYZ in controlling the objectives, because that really is where they started to shine.
I think you're absolutely right. So in the first game, we saw that Zeveron felt really in control of the map. In this game, the PLEYZ felt really in control of this battleground and using the objectives. So we will see if the determining factor in the next battleground will be the objectives as well. These teams drafted very similarly in the first game and very differently in the second game. This kind of all-sustain composition from the PLEYZ was working well for them. So do you think they'll do it again, or do you think it depends on what we see from the battleground?
I think it was chosen from them based on where they thought the fight was going, because the fall stat dropped and they were kind of concerned about a Tyrael being picked up from Zeveron, and so that's where they kind of ended up just going. But I think it worked out really well for them because of those long sustained fights. So I think it is really battleground dependent to where that will work. But we'll have to see. Thoughts on what our next battleground might be?
We've seen the smallest, and we've seen like one of the most middle. Maybe we see the biggest. Sky Temple.
That is an excellent choice, because that's what it's going to be. Guys,
Yay!
we are going to take a very short break. When we return, the final game of the evening between Zeveron and the PLEYZ. Stay tuned.